Grace Berger being back, that's the excitement here at Assembly Hall.
Indiana in the white, Maryland in the road black. And here we go from Bloomington. The Terps control the tip.
Well, Indiana is a very stingy defensive team. One of the best in the country in terms of containing opponents. Let's see how they're going to disrupt Maryland.
Best defense in the Big Ten. And Sydney Parrish, the Oregon transfer, picks it up. And the first touch of the basketball for Grace Berger.
That's the advice I usually give the team. Hey, we have to minimize our mistakes and preserve our possessions.
Masonis puts in a deep two, the first points of the game to the Terps.
Faith Masonis on January 2nd last year had that ACL injury right here in this building, and Brenda Freeze said, I wonder how she's going to feel mentally about coming out in this game. It's great to see her.
Both you and Brenda Freeze talked about the difficulty of defending Mackenzie Holmes. 10 on the timer for Indiana after the shot clock reset. 5 to shoot. And Garzone knocks down a triple.
How about that shot? I don't know if it could have been defended any better. She actually hit the deck after that one, but that's what Indiana likes to do.
One of 4 freshmen is Garzone, getting significant minutes. She is in the starting lineup. Pinzan on a drive, flips it up and draws a foul.
To be involved with on that Israeli national team.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Maryland with 9 new faces. For Indiana, they brought in 2 transfers, 4 freshmen. That's unlike typical Indiana teams that we've seen in recent years. I mean, heck, Allie Patberg played 7 years of college basketball.
And came back for more. She's on the bench now, helping coaching with Indiana. No call, a lot of contact on that last play.
Here is Grace Berger, missed those 8 games with a knee injury. And now down to Holmes, and it goes through her hands. Second turnover of the quarter for Indiana. And now Chloe Moore-McNeil steps it through and goes right over the top of Diamond Miller.
Well, Chloe Moore-McNeil was named Terry Morin's MVP when Grace Berger was out for those 8 games. She was injured on November 25th. She said she came right in that point guard position that Grace Berger was playing and took over.
Sellers quiets the crowd. She has that ability. A major sophomore leap this year.
And that allows Maryland to get into their 1-2-2 quarter court press. And what that does, it just contains Indiana, tries to take some time off of that shot clock. They're not looking to trap in that.
Berger down to Holmes, and finally they get into their leading scorer, Mackenzie Holmes.
Well, they were trying so hard. Brenda Freeze said they're going to show her different looks on the block and mix it up. Maryland has played a lot of zone this season. Also, they've utilized a lot of different looking presses as well.
One matchup to keep an eye on all night. Number 1 in black, Diamond Miller, against 34 in white, Grace Berger. 2 projected first-round picks in this year's WNBA draft. And here is Berger. Miller fighting for it, and finally scooped away by Abby Myers.
What a shifty and crafty move by Grace Berger there with that ball fake.
Myers puts it in on the baseline. One of their transfers went undefeated last year with Princeton.
And a 40% shooter from beyond the arc. She can definitely fill up the box score from range for Maryland. Quick release. I was marveling at her mechanics today in practice. Starts in close, eases herself back out. If she misses a shot, she starts back inside right at the rim.
Myers again, this time a little too heavy.
See, Maryland likes to switch everything defensively because they don't possess a lot of size. That gives them a lot of defensive versatility.
While Grace Berger was out running the point.
And she is just a consummate pro. She knows what Terry Morin wants.
Garzone. Holmes tips it into the hands of Pinzan.
Maryland doing a good job of checking out down there.
And Pranay Alexander buries it in transition. That's a three.
One of the top three-point shooters in the Big Ten. Shooting 46% from there. When you have a 46% shooter from the outside, you let her catch and shoot it.
Led Vanderbilt in scoring a season ago in the SEC, a very tough conference. Late in the timer again for Indiana. 4 to shoot. Chloe Moore McNeil
Out of there, but she's quick enough to slip in there and get it in.
And now playing off the ball because Grace Berger is back as the starting point guard.
But they have that versatility between the two of them. They have Chloe Moore McNeil at the one and put Grace Berger off the ball and bring her off some pin down actions. They can get really experimental if they want to.
Myers. She had 29, a career high at Assembly Hall last year in the NCAA tournament against Kentucky. What can she provide them tonight?
She is lethal when it comes to letting it fly from range.
The Minnesota transfer in her first minutes off the bench in this quarter.
Scalia knocked in a half-court shot today at practice. She is just always ready to compete with the best of them. That was a tough take there.
Masonis with a hand in her face over the outstretched arms of the 6'3" Mackenzie Holmes.
Speaking of toughness, she's the glue for this Maryland team. Faith Masonis, coming off that ACL injury, was always there for her teammates even when she was going through it.
Scalia. Holmes the offensive board. Goes right back up. No. Third chance. Yes.
4 Maryland players right in there, and that's what I was talking about. Maryland doesn't possess a lot of size. They just have to be quicker to the basketball, but it starts with getting a body first, checking off and boxing out, especially a player like Mackenzie Holmes, who is ravenous for corralling rebounds inside the restricted area.
Lavender Briggs. Pumped away. Chloe Moore McNeil.
Here's this double screen up top. They like to do that and find Holmes down inside, individually covered. She won't miss a whole lot of those. 68%, second best in the country. And that's why they love to get her some touches down there. And even if she doesn't shoot it, Matt, she'll draw a lot of defenders, right? She'll get double teams, 2.5 defenders going her way.
Diamond Miller all the way around and out. And now Sydney Parrish pops a three. And tracked down by the freshman Bargesser. Back out to Parrish. Puts it.
These second chance points right now. You saw Brenda Freese put her hands on her hip, and that's universal coach speak for we don't like that so much.
What a kick out. Sellers pays it off with a three. How about that pass from Diamond Miller?
Oh my, I'm sorry for shoving into you and knocking you almost out of your chair. Listen, that was a spectacular find by Diamond Miller to the super sophomore, Cheyenne Sellers, who has picked up her offensive game last year. She was the defensive stopper for Maryland. This year, Brenda Freese said she's a two-way player and takes pride on both sides. She's increased her range as well, as you saw.
Berger trying to draw a foul there. Sellers shaking her head.
Getting that one to fall.
Miller having her way with Chloe Moore McNeil, counted in the foul. Season nearly 19 points per game, the most by a Terp since Brianna Jones, who of course was the 6th Woman of the Year in the WNBA last year. Pretty good company for Diamond Miller.
Oh, no doubt. 2-2-1 there for Maryland, but I'd like to think Diamond Miller reminds me of Nneka Ogwumike in terms of how she is just so unmovable down in the paint and so quick with it.
Meanwhile, Parrish up to 5 points. Former Indiana Miss Basketball. Played her first 2 years of college at Oregon. Now back at at the Hoosier State. Parrish had it poked away by Sellers. Shot clock turned off to end the quarter. Pins on the pull-up. Yes. And now 10 seconds for Indiana to get a shot off. Berger with 3. And the leaner won't go. And it's a 1-point lead for Maryland.
They have 3 offensive rebounds. They've scored 5 points off of those.
Down to Holmes. Walled off on the right side, so she spins back to the left and lays it in.
That was a wise choice. Felt where the body was and went away from it, but also used that contact as leverage to power it up and in. See Indiana sitting in some zone here. 2-3.
Five to shoot. Myers. Had it jarred loose by Parrish. It'll stay here, but just 1 on the shot clock for Maryland.
Wow, Indiana did a fantastic job closing gaps in that zone. And it's so wide, you're getting sucked into thinking you can get in those gaps, but it's not there.
Miller got it up on the rim in time, and then Parrish comes away with a loose ball.
Good job by Chloe Moore McNeil, and that's why, right? She had that experience playing the point guard. You see her settling the team down and getting composed. But she got it with the inside hand, and maybe it somehow ricocheted off of Grace Berger on the sideline.
Pins on. Back door poked away by Garzone. Parrish, hounded by Miller, tapped out of bounds.
And give her some outlet opportunities and options.
Maryland really pressures the basketball, forcing nearly 19 turnovers a game. Top 5 in the Big Ten. Parrish a 3, puts it down. That's her second of the ball game, and Indiana extends the lead to 4.
Terry Morin bending down in a stance, giving a quick clap for that bucket by Parrish, who she called a 6th starter, but was moved into that starting lineup when Grace Berger was out.
Myers the other way. Back and forth we go in Bloomington.
My goodness. Some bucket getters here at Assembly Hall tonight.
Parrish almost had it jarred loose by Lavender Briggs. Parrish from way downtown. And Masonis was fouled.
Transfer out of Oregon. Her first year here with Indiana.
Well, she scored double figures in 9 consecutive games. And you talked about a 3 of 5 from downtown. Indiana's a team 4 of 7. Parrish has 3 of those.
Well, she averages 12, and she has 11 right
Yeah.
now. And she is just clicking and is in a great flow and rhythm.
Berger, good sit pass down to Meister.
For Indiana, but it's also that experience that she brings as a transfer out of Oregon. But also she was the 2020 Miss Basketball for
No
the
doubt.
state of Indiana, so she's back home.
Parrish jarring it loose and saves it, falling out of bounds. Here comes Grace Berger.
So you look at Cheyenne Sellers just right in that passing lane with active hands and active feet, getting over top of screens. They had to switch that one.
Berger with 5. Hesitates and rolls it off the glass with the left hand.
So tough. Grace Berger back in only her second game, had 16 points on Sunday against Northwestern in her first game back after that 8-game absence. She said she was a little leery in the first 3 minutes, but once she found her confidence, it was just like another game, she said.
At 16 points, did Berger, to go along with 5 assists and 2 steals. No call, back the other way. Now a late whistle. So they did say a Maryland player stepped out of bounds. Fresh 30 for Indiana. 5.5 minutes left in the first half. IU with its largest lead of the game. 7-0 run for the Hoosiers.
Maryland needs to get disruptive and contain that paint.
Garzon missed it all. And there is Diamond Miller.
I don't think Garzon had her feet properly placed there, and it looked like maybe a quick travel.
Pinzon with 5. Indiana just so tough defensively in the half court, the best defense in the Big Ten.
And taking a lot of opportunities away from Maryland, which Maryland is trying.
Holmes missed them both. That is rare. A near 75% free throw shooter.
Just needs to find that rhythm.
Miller, offensive foul drawn by Scalia.
Lost to Michigan State, and Grace Berger told us today we just weren't fundamentally sound with our defensive effort in that game, and we don't want to do that again. We didn't like how that felt.
They also turned it over 21 times as Holmes gets an easy look at the rim. Now a 9-0 run for the Hoosiers.
Garzon with a perfectly placed pass up high from Mackenzie Holmes. All she had to do was catch and release it.
So now where does the offense run through for the Terps with Diamond Miller on the bench?
And the ability to catch and finish at the same time is not an easy task. It looks easy, but it's actually not. I love how smart Chloe Moore McNeil is, bringing the ball back out, making sure they get a good look at a clean opportunity to score.
Tapped away, that time Lavender Briggs. 6th turnover of the half for Indiana. And now Brene Alexander. And the scoring drought continues, now up to 4.5 minutes for the Terps without a bucket.
I have Abby Myers out there who can get things going. But you know, she draws a lot of defensive attention, so they're going to have to free her up, see if she's able to get some things going before the half.
Holmes through contact. Nothing from the referee. Holmes arguing her case. Here is Myers. And she scored 5 points early in that first quarter. We haven't seen a bucket from her since.
That was a viable look for her. She can pop it from the short corner, from that long corner 3 spot as well.
An errant pass from Bargesser. 2-on-1 the other way. Pinzon gives it back. And finally, Alexander ends a near 5.5-minute scoring drought for Maryland.
Brenda Free is trying to clap up her team. Terry Moore watching her offense unfold, and it's great spacing right here so far. They're trying to get it back down inside to Mackenzie Holmes. Maryland is a team that can find balance in their scoring attack. And Abby Myers just off balance on that opportunity.
Scalia, off and off the back iron.
Both teams looking a little fatigued because the pace of play
It has been frenetic.
has been really good. I mean, and they've been fighting for it. I mean, defensively, both teams scrapping for it.
Alexander rolls it down, back-to-back buckets for Brene Alexander.
And this is what you want. You want these big moments in Big Ten conference play. And both teams are challenged.
13 on the timer for Indiana. Final 50 seconds of the first half.
Abby Myers has the defensive responsibility of Grace Berger, and Parrish takes it.
Continuing her hot start, 13 points, a game high.
She had 24 points earlier this season against North Carolina, and she was just like that, hot.
Miller! Shot clock turned off to end the half. Final 15 seconds for Indiana.
Terry Morin calling for a double screen up top, and Grace Berger's got to set it up so the defender gets used.
Berger with one. And Bargesser can't get it off in time.
For Indiana, they got in there at will, and it wasn't just getting the ball inside to Mackenzie Holmes, who's second in the country, shooting 68%. But they were getting downhill. Their guards were getting busy, getting 2 feet in the lane as well. But Maryland, they can't settle for those threes, and Diane Miller is really trying her best to get the shots up and in, but not falling so far.
Maryland in the midst of a 6-game winning streak. 4-1 in league play. Indiana also 4-1 in league play. Have won back-to-back games after that upset loss at Michigan State. Berger kicked the basketball. No, she did not. It actually was kicked by Maryland.
They're going for it.
Some really good matchups between these two teams a season ago. Offensive foul goes against Garzone.
To really take Maryland out of what they wanted to do on the offensive end and not slow them down. And they've done a good job with that here so far tonight as well.
Myers gets the offensive rebound.
Still wondering, with an inquisitive expression on her face, what she could have done differently on that one. They just got tangled.
Garzone on the feed from Holmes. Really nice pass. And that is the 10th assist of the game for Indiana on 15 made field goals.
You know what they call Yarden? You know what her nickname is? Yardini. That was one of those Yardini passes down inside.
Making on the offensive end, but she is a true facilitator in the post.
Her freshman season on to now. And she is averaging a career best just under 22 points for the Hoosiers.
Long pass, that's what we'll call it. Holmes puts it in rather, off the window, and Grace Berger can do nothing but chuckle after that one.
Mackenzie Holmes, too, and Sydney Parrish, she was trying to tuck it away, but I saw her trying to laugh as well.
Brenda Freeze, all she can do is chuckle. Another turnover gives it up to Garzone.
Maryland just looking tremendously out of sync on the offensive end.
Berger tried to slip it down to Holmes, somehow kept it alive, and Sellers wrestles it away. Diamond Miller draws a blocking foul on Parrish. In the Big Ten, they just don't foul.
Well, they're disciplined, and that's what Terry Morin has said and complimented her team about. And you can't be out here just doing what you want to do. It's a team game, and the team needs you to be disciplined. And we can't afford to have other teams stepping to the free throw line because you just don't feel like bearing down and locking in on the defensive end.
Parrish had it rejected. It was Miller from behind. Had 13 points in the first half, did Parrish. Berger and Garzone can't get it off in time. A shot clock violation. Coaches, players, fans, and they are on top of you here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall.
And it's packed in here. They have drawn 7,000 plus fans on a regular basis. They have to do it by committee because then they can apply this pressure. They can't get into their press if they're not getting buckets in. Diamond Miller and Grace Berger know each other very well. Some USA basketball teammate experience.
And two players that figure to be first-round draft picks in this year's WNBA draft. Diamond Miller right now projected to be a lottery pick.
Absolutely, and Lynn Dunn is sitting courtside, as is the new head coach, Christy Sides, for the Indiana Fever. Lynn Dunn is the interim general manager, wearing her WNBA sweatshirt here this evening. And you love that connection as well. And they've got their eyes on the next stars of the WNBA.
Myers almost lost it and instead draws a foul.
So you love to see those 4 eyeballs on these young women who aspire to be in the WNBA one day.
Quick pass to Berger. Right into the chest of Massonis.
And her upper body getting that leverage so she can go to the line.
And the Fox Sports app. Grace Berger had 5 assists in the first half, Christy. First home game for her since she missed 8 with a knee injury. And there's
just taking the paint away from this Maryland team tonight.
It'll stay with Maryland. Also an elite shot blocker for the Jackrabbits.
Well, she gets it honestly.
Chloe Moore McNeil in all kinds of traffic, had it jarred loose. There's Parrish to win it back, and she draws a foul. And how about the energy from Parrish?
With no excuses, and they're going to be held accountable. If they're not playing defense, they're coming off the floor. And if they don't like it, then that's just too bad. You have to be able to do both things, and she holds them accountable to that, and you have to respect her for that. She doesn't just let them do what they want to do on the floor. She directs them, she conducts them, and that's why they have found incredible success.
10-point deficit for Maryland. Both teams in the bonus the rest of the way in this quarter. 4:40 to go. Here is Sellers to Myers, who has been very composed in this hostile environment. Myers now with 9 points.
Well, she needs to get going. They're not going to let her sit on the three-point line and shoot from there without a hand in her face. So she's got to be able to move, relocate herself off the line when her teammates catch the ball like she did on that play.
Berger. Rebound, Chloe Moore McNeil, and a second chance for Indiana. And Berger threads it to Holmes, who draws 2 shots.
Well, Terry Morin told us today at practice that rebounding was going to be paramount. And they have just really laid it into fruition and attacked the glass, especially on the offensive boards.
Fouls becoming a bit of a story for both teams. 10 Network makes that one. She's a 75% free throw shooter, leaving a little bit to be desired on the line tonight. But foul trouble-wise, 3 players with 2 fouls for Indiana. Renee Alexander has 2 fouls for Maryland, and Faith Massonis is on the bench with 3. And now Briggs draws a foul. And that goes against Grace Berger. That is her third foul. So now do you think about taking Berger off the floor here?
No. I think you let her play through it. I think you trust her. If she's a freshman, maybe yes. She's a fifth-year player. She knows how to stay disciplined and keep herself on the floor. And she's trying to get her cardio back, right? She's trying to stay in rhythm after missing those 8 games. It's only her second game back. And Terry Morin looks like she's agreeing with me by leaving her on the floor here. But she trusts her. And I think that goes a long way. When your coach can trust you, that makes you even more honed into staying disciplined.
Turnover into the hands of Miller. Myers a 3. And Sellers the offensive board. And now Miller, the dribble drive, had it poked away, and Parrish comes away with it.
You can see that Diamond Miller was trying to get downhill on Mackenzie Holmes and almost got by, but got plucked out.
Moore McNeil stripped out of bounds. Last touch by Moore McNeil, and she is shaken up.
There are no easy routes to the rim here in Bloomington tonight.
11 steals for the Hoosiers, who are holding opponents to 57 points per game. That's the fewest in the Big Ten. Briggs off the back iron and the rebound. Stripped away. Diamond Miller has scored in double figures in all but 1 game this year. She's got 5 points right now on 1 of 6, and credit to Indiana's defense. Meanwhile, Chloe Moore McNeil, we've just been told, is headed to the Indiana locker room as Miller picks off the pass and draws contact wisely, sending Parrish to the floor. He's in averages tonight.
Brenda Freeze said assist-to-turnover ratio is one of their major keys. That's on the whiteboard. You got to take care of the ball, and we have to share it. I mean, they're selfless. She said they're a team, they like to share the ball. They have a balanced offensive attack, but they just have not been efficiently so tonight.
Berger playing with 3 fouls. Indiana.
Only a 2-possession game now with 2 minutes to go here in the third.
Doesn't feel like it should be that close, does it? Maryland has just hung in there.
Chipping away at it, getting stops. But they need to pay it off by getting some buckets, too.
Miller, really nice effort on the offensive glass.
From the floor, 18 of 36, so that's the difference right now.
Just a high-level defensive basketball game with some tough shots being made both ways. Berger on the baseline, rattles it in.
Grace Berger is back and doing what she's always done.
Alexander, everything but the bottom of the cup, and picked up by Scalia. And then tapped out of bounds by Myers.
She has so much craftiness and creativity with her offensive skill set, her ability to get to her sweet spot. Even with Cheyenne Sellers, one of the best defenders in the conference, guarding her. Look at her, taking away the gaps. She's still right there and finds a way. I thought she was going to kiss it off the glass. She had her.
Miller off the bounce. And then Miller.
Floor. She's made all 5 of her free throws in 23 minutes of play there.
4 of 8, 10 points. Meanwhile, for Indiana, Parrish was 16, a game high. Sellers, really tough shot. Count it, and the foul.
To make sure that everybody knows.
And now Garzone has 3 fouls. So Berger in the game with 3, Garzone in the game with 3, and Chloe Moore McNeil out, but back on the bench, which is a really good sign after she went to the locker room holding that right arm.
That's a great sign. That was a little nerve-wracking to see her in pain there.
Parrish, dribble drive, got bumped in the face. Behind the play, numbers for Maryland. And then it goes off the hand of Lavender Briggs. Can have the last possession of the third quarter, and Chloe Moore McNeil back on the floor. 5 seconds. Chloe Moore McNeil with 2. And she draws a foul with 1.5 seconds left. And the free throw. Moore McNeil missed them both. Half-court heave will not count from Myers.
She knew what to expect, but I also think Terry Moore gives a lot of respect to Maryland for doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's gotten harder and harder to defend in this league. 10 teams in the top 50 in the country in offense in the Big Ten this year. These are 2 of the top 20, and yet this has been a defensive battle in Bloomington.
Absolutely, and 6 teams in the Big Ten are ranked in the top 25 in the country, with Illinois cracking the code this week.
Sellers know the tap out to Miller. A second chance for Maryland. Dumped down to Massonis, left it short. Second chance, won't go. In the game right now, both have 2 fouls. And meanwhile for Indiana, Garzone and Berger are both playing with 3 fouls for the Hoosiers.
It's going to come down to this. You can't wait until the last 2 minutes of the 4th quarter to, hey, we got to do something. It's right now. You have to impact the game by dialing it up on the defensive end and getting tough and communicative on that side of the court.
Down to Parrish. And now Pinzan leading the break. Miller floats it down. Miller had just 3 points in the first quarter. She's now up to 9 for the night.
That was just a smooth move. You see Brenda Fries employing her team, clapping, has her hair spinning. When Brenda Fries has the hair spinning on the side and clapping and getting that energy going, you see a change in what the players do on the floor, for sure.
Chloe Moore McNeil trying to thread it. Down to Miller, rejected by Parrish. Diamond Miller, an 83% foul shooter, misses on the front end. We've seen Mackenzie Holmes for Indiana miss 3 tonight. She's a 75% foul shooter.
Hey, this has been a grinded out defensive game. And what do you use most defensively? You use your legs, right? So a lot of the shots are coming up short on these free throws because these teams are running in the mud, trying to lock each other down on the defensive side.
1 possession game, less than 8 minutes to go. Parrish, offensive foul, and that is her 4th.
Set prior to the gather of Parrish, and that's why it was whistled that way as a charge.
And a turnover gives it right back to Indiana.
Has produced 12 off of those 17 by Indiana, which is not a lot when you think about it. And Indiana just 10 off of Maryland's 15. So they've been just out of bounds passes rather than in gaps and live ball turnovers.
Garzone, really good hands to keep that ball in bounds. Scalia was 7, and the runner won't go. Put back is good from Holmes.
Gotta have a body on Mackenzie Holmes.
Miller steps back and buries a 3. Silencing the crowd at Assembly Hall.
That was a huge bucket by Diamond Miller, who had that slow first half, but that's why they play 2. I'm telling you, she is heating up. And Brenda Fries said she wants these big moments, and she gets a piece of that one by Garzone.
Miller stops, starts, and has it knocked out of bounds.
As Maryland continuing to try to get back into this one.
They trailed by as many as double figures in that first half. This is the closest the game has been since it was 24-23 Indiana, and an offensive foul.
Again, it's a trust factor, but she really has to be careful, and Maryland going right at her.
Diamond Miller using the body to shield. She's up to 15.
Knowing that Berger had those 4 fouls and wouldn't gamble contesting in the paint.
We are tied for the 7th time tonight.
the motion and fluidity. They like to get Mackenzie Holmes off the slip on that left elbow.
Sellers back the other way, rejected by Chloe Moore McNeil. And then Holmes fouled on the entry pass. It goes
down inside. Sellers gets it blocked.
Parrish in the paint, count it. And now Parrish up to 18 points.
This has been such a great battle in Big Ten competition. As we said, 6 teams in the top 25. This is why.
And a timeout taken by Maryland.
For sure, but how about Kevin McGuff in Ohio State? Just undefeated. The dub chain is alive and well in Columbus.
Best start in program history.
Fantastic. Taylor Mikesell doing major things there.
Find to shoot. Myers wiggles free and can't get the jumper to go. 7-0 run for Indiana.
Well, the paint had opened up for Abby Myers. She pulled in that mid-range, but Maryland has not been able to manufacture much offense inside. It's a 30-12 advantage in paint points for Indiana.
Berger driving on Miller. Out to Parrish. Massonis back into the game with 4 fouls. Myers rejected, and that time it's Holmes.
That kind of ownership defensively for Indiana inside tonight.
Holmes, 3rd all-time in Indiana history in career blocks. And still, Maryland without a bucket in nearly the last 3 minutes.
She was a second-team all-conference player. Mackenzie Holmes was last year, but look at that.
Little shoulder fake right into the chest of Miller, and it's a 9-0 Indiana run.
Just a solid performance by Mackenzie Holmes.
Picked off by Chloe Moore McNeil. And last touched.
Maryland needs a bucket right here. And it has to be a smart bucket and very decisive. They've got to pick this Indiana defense apart, and that's not easy to do.
Tough shot. Alexander gets it to go, and she has had one of the best nights tonight for the Maryland Terps. 12 points.
That was a solid decision. Get right to that elbow area and pull.
Down to Holmes. Double team comes. And now Diamond Miller. Coast to coast, lays it in with the left hand.
That's the beauty of Diamond Miller's game. She just stretches out with those go-go gadget arms of hers. Ever since her freshman year at Maryland, that's what I've said about her. I mean, she is just so long and lanky, but she's explosive with her length.
15 points in the second half for Diamond Miller. Holmes really fighting with Sellers in the post, wants the ball. 5 on the shot clock. Berger with 3. Kick out to Gerzon. Jars it loose. Open three. Yes! Renee Alexander knocking them down when they need it. And it's back to a two-possession game. Timeout taken.
Before just doing it.
That's a veteran player with professional experience.
There it is.
The Israeli national with 11 points, none bigger than that last three.
Maryland letting some time run off the clock here. Maybe they need to look to take a foul here.
And there it is from Sellers. 5'11", Chloe Moore McNeil tries to get it in. And she does to Berger and immediately fouled by Myers. Third on Myers. So one more, and Indiana is shooting the rest of the way.
Still a two-possession game with plenty of time to make some moves, and Indiana just has to take care of the basketball and make their free throws on this next foul.
Sonis playing with 4 fouls. And the foul eventually comes from Alexander. And that is the third on Alexander, and now Indiana in the bonus the rest of the way. 41.1 left, and a 5-point ball game here in Bloomington. Moore McNeil, 1 of 3 from the foul line so far tonight. And coming into the game, Christy, she was 41 of 45 from the stripe this season. But to your point, it has been as intense and as a physical a game as we have seen this year.
No doubt. I mean, Chloe Moore McNeil has 4 younger sisters, and when she was in high school, she lost her mom. And she has been the best big sister and the best teammate. So this is not a stressor, right?
No doubt.
This is not a stressor. I mean, it prepares you for life.
And she calmly knocks down both. Called the MVP of the team while Grace Berger was out with a knee injury. Sellers coast to coast in a flash. And now Maryland sets up the full court pressure. Miller promptly fouls Chloe Moore McNeil.
That role for the team.
Leaves the door open here for Maryland to make. Gives Indiana a 6-point lead, and it remains a two-possession game. One timeout left for Maryland, and they call it. Hey, Alexander, the inbounder. No timeouts left for Maryland, down 6. Miller, the backdoor cut. Can't lay it in. Tip back out to Alexander. A 3. And Holmes wrestles it away from Massonis. Possession arrow points to the Hoosiers.
It has just been a microcosm. That one play is a microcosm of how this game has gone.
Moore McNeil, the inbounder. Garzone, Parrish, Scalia, and Berger on the floor for Indiana. And there is the foul from Sellers.
That big shot.
You talked about the right knee injury, and makes the second. And that gives Indiana a 7-point lead. Here comes Sellers. To the bucket and rejected by Parrish. And offensively has been terrific. 18 points for the Oregon transfer. Miller draws a foul. And even if this ends up being a losing effort, what a night for Diamond Miller. Held to just 3 points on 1 of 3 in the first half. She's now up to 19. It's back to a 7-point lead. Sellers has it poked away, and that will do it from Bloomington. A top 10 win for Indiana, and the Hoosiers have now won 3 of the last 4 against Maryland, improving to 5-1 in Big Ten play.